Commitment to competence.
We got a great commitment to competence on this program. We've, kind of vowed that we would be at the very least competent, occasionally a little bit better than that. Our next guest, I think, has higher aspirations. I'll ask him the question Gleeman passed along to us. Russo, apparently Gleeman is a big believer in obese goaltenders. Is because of the amount of space one could say they take up, even if they can't necessarily move that well. If they take up the entire goal mouth, who cares? So is there any thought, does that have legs, you think, in the hockey community? Could you run that by Billy Guerin?
Yeah, I'll ask him. I don't think that would work. I just personally, you get them moving side to side, that could be a problem. Yeah. So that reminds me of some meme that somebody sent me during the Dallas series when the Wild were really struggling on the penalty kill, and it was like a picture of like tonight's Wild penalty kill, and it was all 5 players in the crease at the same time, essentially playing goal. So, that's a good idea. Gleeman always has good ideas.
He does, doesn't he?
So, yeah, I think that's a good one.
All right, where do we begin? Game 4 tonight, I mentioned at the top of the show, Wild want to get to the exact same position the Wolves are in, right? They win their Game 4 at home, knowing it's now a best of 3 going on the road. That's what the Wild are looking for at this point. Win Game 4 tonight, go back on the road in a best of 3 situation. It certainly looked from my Barca that the victory felt like a declaration that has a chance to carry over because it wasn't a slight victory. It wasn't a fluky victory. It looked as if, all right, our job is to counter where the other team is, to kind of send a message back that we're in this thing, we're not going away. I thought it was pretty declarative in that sense. Obviously, though, the challenge is if they don't win tonight, nobody's going to be talking about it all that much. How confident are you? How confident do you think the Wild are that they can, if not match Game 3, at least come close enough to send that series back tied up at 2-2?
Well, I agree with the way that you characterized it. I think that they showed themselves the other night that this team is absolutely beatable if you play a certain style. And the Wild's MO, especially in the Dallas series, was to play a really quality even strength game, but establish a physical forecheck early in the game, play in real competitive situations, and usually you're going to wind up with the upper hand with the type of way that they are built. And to your point, I was just talking to Micheletti and Zach and Falmus about it in the other room. And by the way, Micheletti's here to class up the joint. You have potential of Anaheim going to the Western Conference Final. A team that the Wild have beaten 22 out of the last 23 games. Yeah. Like, if the Wild don't win this series, they are going to always wonder what could have been if Anaheim gets by. And I still truly believe that they're a better team than Vegas this season. And I felt they were a better team than Vegas last season and easily could have won that series. So this is, look, they're playing the best team in the National Hockey League. They showed last game that they could absolutely win. They've shown in the past against Colorado that if you come back from 2-0 that you can win that series. So I just think that this is a game that they're going to try to throw the same template onto the ice. And that's not always easy. It's different referees. It's different, everything's different about the game. But I just think that they, if they establish their game early, they have the ability to take control of this game the way that they did in Game 3. And that was what was so uplifting for them about the way they played in Game 3 is they established their game early. They got a big-time early save by Jesper Wallstedt on the breakaway by Parker Kelly. And then Hartman draws a 4-on-4 where they're both taken off the ice. They score a couple goals essentially on that 4-on-4. And then they never looked back. Like, even in the third period, which is so not just unwild-like, but unhockey-like a lot of times when you have that big of a lead, is the entire third period they were on their toes. They didn't sit back in a shell and let Colorado take it to them. So everything about that game the other day was a declarative win, as you said, and they've got to bring that tonight to even up this series.
So what specifically, from a hockey standpoint, maybe even an X's and O standpoint, do you think they unlocked in Game 3?
Well, I thought that Kirill Kaprizov really led the way. Like, he dragged them into the battle. Obviously, we all saw the Marcus Foligno and Nick Foligno big checks and the Yakov Trenyan big checks. But I thought that Kirill led that ability to establish a forecheck. And, it sounds simplistic, but they got pucks deep, and they just went to town on those defensemen. And those guys, by the third period, didn't want to get the puck. It really looked like the Dallas D did at the end of that one game. Now, tonight's a new game. You're playing still a team with a bunch of superstars. They were never able, none of their lines were able to get to their games the other night because they were so on the defensive every time the Wild played physically. And I just think that's the only way that you can win this series. As we saw in Denver, you just cannot get into track meets with this team, because the Wild did get into track meets with both those games, actually scored a bunch of goals, and just they were not able to stop them defensively because they have such speed and such skill. So that's the biggest thing. The other thing is special teams. For a rare time in this postseason, they won the special teams battle the other night. When a lot of times with the penalty kill, it's when you get your kills. So the other night, they get a kill at 0-0. They get a kill to keep it 2-0. So, all right, yes, they gave up a power play goal in the third period, but at that point it was 3-1 and they responded right away. So their penalty kill won the battle last game, and then they scored a couple power play goals as well. So let's see if they can filter that into tonight's game as well.
This is from 651 guy. Russo, I've noticed Damon Hunt and Middleton had pretty similar time on ice recently. Do you get the sense the Wild are making a concerted effort to trim Middleton's minutes a bit and give Hunt a larger role?
Well, Hunt played for the most part of his even strength shifts the other night. He played at 5-on-5 with Jared Spurgeon. So right away there, they definitely have demoted Jake Middleton from that standpoint. Jake had a real tough start to the series. So did that defensive pair as a whole. And so when you're naturally playing on the third pair, you're going to get less minutes when you have Quinn and Faber playing half the game. And the other night, Faber played almost 30 minutes and Quinn played almost 29. So, Middleton, look, he up until last game, he was on the ice for 9 out of 12 non-empty net goals. Spurgeon 8 out of 12. He's been on the ice for 9 power play goals in the series as well. So there's no doubt what the person is, what the texter is saying is accurate. Damon Hunt, I thought, played great the other night. He obviously had the one play on the power play where he, kind of lost his marbles and threw Landeskog onto Wallstedt, and that's why that goal stood. But for the most part, in his tough assignments in that game, he didn't look like the stage was too bright.
There's been a lot of discussion about playing heavier, and that the Wild did that in game number 3. You alluded to some of it specifically, but how does that translate? What does that mean when we say, in your mind, they have to play a heavier game, and what impact did that have or does that have on, the freewheeling, high-flying Avalanche?
Yeah, I think, look, the best defense is playing with the puck in the offensive zone, and they established their forecheck the other night. They were physical, and they played in high traffic areas. And to, quote Marcus Foligno, he said that they played soft the first 2 games, or somewhat soft. And the other night they did not. And that's just the way the Wild are built. Especially from their bottom 6, they're a very big team that is, look, you're not going to outscore, even their third and fourth lines are probably not outscoring Colorado's third and fourth lines. So the way that you really take advantage of a team is to just play long offensive zone shifts, play physically. One, you're hoping that it catches up to them late in the series, but 2, by the time that, that team is, whether you score or not, if you hem them in for 45, 50 seconds, next thing you know, they're chipping it out, going for a line change, and now you're doing it all over again against the next team. So you're just never allowing the Colorado Avalanche to establish their game. And we saw really, in games 1 and 2, there were just way too many rush chances. We didn't see that against Dallas. So against the Wild, against Colorado the other night, there were a couple rush chances, but they just never got to their game. They looked slow and methodical, and it was because the Wild were in their face really the entire game.
If you have questions for Russo, keep them coming. 64686. Wild tonight, game 4. All our coverage begins on the flagship. Gaardsy tells me immediately following our program, which will end as usual at 6:30 tonight. I think it's safe to say that we know who the goaltender is going to be for the rest of this series, correct? For the Wild.
Yeah, I think that Jesper Wallstedt is obviously the guy. Obviously anything could change at any point. But, the thing that it looks like Mackenzie Blackwood is going to be starting for Scott Wedgwood tonight for Colorado. And I think the biggest thing that we were all surprised about about going to Philip Gustafson in Game 2 is that the reason why we were surprised is that there was ample opportunity in Game 1 to throw Gustafson in there to get him some action, so then it wouldn't be such a culture shock to play for the first time in more than 3 weeks in Game 2 against a Colorado team that's high flying, and it just almost felt like it wasn't a recipe for success for Gus in Game 2. And so what Colorado looks like they're going to do tonight is go with Blackwood after he got almost 3/4 of the game the other night. And so we'll see if that works for them. But Wallstedt was so good the other night. I mean, look, the Wild really, as I mentioned, took control of that game. But there was an early part of that game where it's 0-0. The Wild established their forecheck. They weren't getting rewarded for it. And then suddenly, out of the blue, Parker Kelly gets a breakaway and he makes the save. And then the Wild took it from there. And then late in the third period, it was pretty much Colorado pressuring for the last 5-6 minutes of that game. And Wallstedt, he responded. And so I think that he just continues to show that this is a special goaltender, and I agree with you. I just can't imagine, schedule, unless the schedule, if they get past this round, let's put it that way.
Yeah.
If the schedule's sort of weird like it was last round or earlier in this round, or if all of a sudden, Wallstedt does have a tough game where it looks like he might be mentally tired, maybe then you make a change, but right now it's Wallstedt's net.
As I mentioned much earlier in the show, Gaardsy had passed along to me, and this is a story that you're not necessarily covering, but I wanted to get your reaction to it because it feels like it's kind of unprecedented, but maybe, again, there's a concern about spread. The Frost was supposed to play winner-take-all Game 5. This is, I think, they're in the semifinals of the PWHL against Montreal. It was supposed to be a 6 o'clock start tonight in Quebec, and it's been postponed by the league because of player illnesses. And Gaardsy and I are trying to get a precedent for this other than COVID. The league is saying they're citing player safety concerns related to illness, and that these were concerns regarding the Montreal team. I'd received a couple texts from a couple sources saying they think it's like a stomach virus, intestinal kind of a thing that's going through the whole team. And they mentioned in the release, in the league, in a statement, a rescheduled date for the game will be announced as soon as medical guidance determines it appropriate to resume play, and an update will be provided to fans within the next day. They are saying that the symptoms are not consistent with hantavirus. There's been a lot of discussion about that because of what took place on the cruise, for whatever that's worth. So is there a precedent for this? Does this surprise you that the decision is made to postpone, as unlucky as it might be for Montreal? Or do you view this as, well, they're even worried about how this could be spread during the game? I don't know. This whole thing seems very strange to me.
Yeah, I mean, I obviously don't know anything about it other than what I've read, but I mean, I can just tell you, if this is a contagious illness, we've seen multiple examples in hockey of playing against another team, and next thing you know, other players on other teams get it. I mean, I remember throughout COVID, the Wild would play the LA Kings. Next thing you know, 5 or 6 Wild players had it because a bunch of Kings players had it, and it just seemed like that. The mumps was another thing that the Wild were a big part of.
Yeah,
twice,
that's right.
By the way. So, I mean, not that other than COVID that I remember games being postponed because of it, but there's no doubt in a physical sport like this one, that absolutely that stuff can spread. And next thing you know, if Minnesota was going to win that game, all of a sudden you bring it in not only their locker room, but other players as well. So, I mean, clearly they realize that something's going on with Montreal, that either they can't field the game because there's so many players that are dealing with us. There was during the Olympics, the Swiss team had some sort of norovirus going through it, and they postponed a game, if I remember correctly. And they wound up playing the next game against, I think it was the United States, and we were wondering even how that was even possible. But obviously, the PWHL has way more, information than we have.
All right, let's get back to tonight's Game 4. If we get any more information, we'll pass it along regarding this breaking news from earlier this afternoon. How about the goaltending situation for Colorado here? Do we know who's in net tonight, and do you think they have reason to be seriously concerned about their own goaltending situation going into tonight's game?
Yeah, it sounded like Mackenzie Blackwood's getting the start tonight, and that's what I was saying about, it seemed like Jared Bednar not only put Mackenzie in that game to get him some action the other night, to maybe play him today, but then after that game took some shots at Scott Wedgwood and just the way that he was playing. And that's what I always kind of love about Jared Bednar, is he doesn't mince words. He didn't give the old, we weren't playing well, so let's see if we could change the momentum. He basically said that Wedgwood was not good on the first couple goals. And so that told me right away that they were thinking of going back to Blackwood. Remember, Blackwood was acquired, and he is their number one, kind of like Philip Gustafson. And then Wedgwood just started playing and playing and playing. This is somebody that's been a perennial backup. So I think maybe it's caught up to him. The Wild have definitely played him well so far in the series, and we'll see if Blackwood has the same success. He played well against the Wild the other night for more than a period and a half. And so we'll see if that creates some momentum for Colorado tonight.
So no Eriksson Ek again tonight,
No.
Correct? That's official. Do you have any sense, is it literally day to day where you never know? Could it be for the next game, or is it looking more and more like he's not going to make this series at all?
Well, he's got a significant injury, and so it's day to day for him. It's how he's feeling.
Right.
He did skate on lightly today. John Hines did say it's touch and go. But he has an injury that is it's not just going to magically heal. And so every time he skates, he's going to come off and be incredibly sore and have to deal with pain tolerance issues and things like that. And so, Yurov played really, really well the other day. So I think that they probably just say, hey, look, let's see if they can win this game, and then maybe save him for Wednesday's game or Friday's game. Knowing Eriksson Ek the way that I do, I don't think that, even though this probably should end his postseason, I don't think it's going to end his postseason. I think that he's going to continue to try to, play when he feels okay about it. But they need him to get through a game, and it was not a good situation in 2023, even though they wound up coincidentally winning that game when he tried to play, and then all of a sudden he lasted a shift and couldn't play the rest of that game. And so if he's hurt, he's hurt. Brodin, same thing. I don't think he's even close to skating right now. If the Wild go this round and maybe another round, I think there's a chance that we see him again. But I think that even though they're classifying him as, they're not giving us any updates, I just don't think that we're seeing him anytime soon. Eriksson Ek, though, is day to day for Eriksson Ek. I don't think it would be day to day for me.
If the Wild get it done tonight, well, let's back up. What do you expect? We talk about adjustments in one team. The losing team generally is a team that we say, okay, it's the ball's in your court or the puck's in your ice, whatever you want to look at it, and you expect some wrinkle, or perhaps you just expect for them to come out of the gate the way the Wild did, because I thought that was the most impressive part for the Wild, is they didn't wait for the game to come to them. They seized it almost from the beginning, and then very quickly the 4-on-4, and then you take full advantage of the power play 4-on-3. It's right away. It's pretty quick. It's 2-0. What do you expect from Colorado tonight in terms of their adjustments?
Yeah, I don't think that they're going to make like wholesale line changes. I could see a couple lineup options, and they have an extra. It looks like Josh Manson might still not be ready. So do they go back with Blankenberg? Do they throw a Kiviranta in, who could be pretty physical? Do they throw a Khan in, who's a local kid that's an up and coming stud? So I think that they can make a move there. I just think that the one thing that they are going to try to do is to fend off the Wild, at the blue lines, to try to keep them from establishing their physical game. And if the one thing that Dallas did really well at times was interfere. And they fended off and fenced off at the blue lines. And I think if Colorado could do that and then, create some turnovers on Wild entries and get to their 5-on-5 game where they are letting McKinnon skate with speed and Natchez skate with speed, I think that's going to be the biggest issues that I could see the Wild facing tonight. But I do think the Wild, look, they've played the Wild have played Colorado well during the regular season.
Yes.
And to what you said before too, it's not like they were blown out in games 1 and 2.
No,
me, it was.
I agree.
It felt like to me that Colorado had a chance to really prepare for the Wild, where the Wild just showed up for a second round series, and that's not really their fault. I mean, the league just all of a sudden changed the schedule because of TV. and just to get on a plane the next day, essentially, and go play. And that's usually not the gift you get for ending a series a little early. And so it just, I think it really hurt them, especially in game one. And I think they found their game last game. Now, to your point earlier in the conversation, if the Wild don't find their game again tonight, it's going to be such a wasted opportunity that all of a sudden they've that they didn't take advantage of winning game 3.
100%.
Because I really do believe if the Wild win this game tonight, that they're going to win the series. I really do. I mean, the Wild have won in Denver many, many times. I think that they are one team that can contend with this Colorado team. And so we'll see the way it goes. But I also think that when the Wild look at this opportunity of who they could potentially play in the next round, I just think that you're going to give every single thing that you could give to get past this round. Because to me, the Stanley Cup final is right in front of them.
It's a beautiful thing. You're right.
And that's why we all haven't liked the playoff format, because this is a conference final in a second round matchup, and it's unfair to both Colorado and to Minnesota and to Dallas.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. How Panta's wrong again.
How quick or how soon can we expect what seems to me to be inevitable? MichaelRusso.com. I mean, is it a matter of weeks? Is it a matter of months? Is it a matter of a couple of years? Or what do you think?
Well, hopefully not. I don't have the one. I don't have the guts that Aaron Gleeman has. 2, I don't have the brand that Aaron Gleeman has. I mean, that's the one thing about Aaron. That's the one thing about Aaron is that he's got such a wide audience because he's so good at what he does. You know, he's so.
You got a brand. I'd say you have a brand.
Yeah, but Aaron is he's got this ability to explain baseball in a statistical manner that I don't have a way to do that. Like, to me, I don't have that wherewithal when it comes to hockey or intellect, frankly. So I really wish him luck. It's a huge loss for us here in Minnesota with the Athletic. We loved Aaron. I wish it ended differently, and all that type of stuff. But he's got a lot of guts. And, I was reading an article today of already how many subscribers he has. Yeah. And I think that just is a testament to the respect level that people have for him and how good he is at what he does. So, from my standpoint, I hope that there never has to be a MichaelRusso.com, because I don't think I can run my own business. And to me, being at the Athletic, working with Joe Smith and all that type of stuff, and the money that's behind the Athletic right now, and frankly, the number of subscribers that we have here in Minnesota, it's the reason why I have 2 Wild beat writers, and so. I hope it never has to come to that. That's for sure.
I mean, to me, it should be, if you go that route, it should be RussoRadio.com, because your alliteration's better. I wouldn't go with Michael Russo. Gaardsy, what do you think?
Like, that is the thing. Like, if I ever left the Athletic, I don't know if I would ever write another word. Like, I don't even know if you'd get a return text from me. I look forward to the day that I never have to write another article.
Is that right? Interesting.
Yeah. Like, I kind of want to go where you went, exchange Retch too. I don't know. But, I mean, like there's just certain people that need an employer, and I'm probably one of them. I don't want to buy my own health insurance. I can't edit my own stuff, like that type of stuff. Where Aaron's just, I give him a lot of credit. I mean, and I think he's going to kill it. I really do.
Well, I think you're already your own boss at the Athletic. I think that's the beauty of your situation. You're
got the best
Radio.
of both worlds.
Yeah, I mean, everybody there credits you for bringing him in.
Yeah.
What would Fallness make fun of if you left the Athletic? What would Fallness make fun of?
I don't know. I would definitely need Fallness to be nicer to me, because I would need to make it work.
He's such a clock watcher.
Yeah.
So he noticed I went long
today. Gaardsy could attest to this. I was wondering if he was going to be here when we got here. There was all these excuses in our text exchange. I don't have a car. I don't know when I'm going to get here.
You're kidding me.
How you might have to run the show.
It's game night.
It's game 4
for the whole. We win this game. We win the cup, for God's sake. What's he talking about?
Like, why does he not have a 6 o'clock pregame? I can't work for an hour pregame.
I agree totally.
It's crazy.
It's because of Dan. He's not going to give up his real estate. Are you kidding me? It's not me saying I don't want it. He's saying, no, I'm not going to give it up. And then he doesn't break on time for a hockey guest.
So that's the tweet. The tweet was 5:07 that we came back with you. He's a minutes watcher, for God's sake. And yet he didn't even show up at the biggest game of the year until like 10 minutes ago.
It's crazy.
It's unbelievable.
It's crazy. What is wrong with your car? You need any help?
Yeah, my transmission's out, as a matter of fact. So I had to go home and let my wife use the car so I could come back.
Get an Uber.
To St. Paul from St. Louis Park?
Yes, that's not bad. That's
I
not.
don't
You get a
make
good
drive time radio.
Oh,
money.
stop. By the way, I was going to ask you about that, too. I'm assuming there's going to be a Minnesota Wild wine line after the game, right?
Extended pregame starts at 6:30 when you allow us to jump on the airways with myself, Brandon Molesky,
What about
and
postgame?
Marcus Foligno.
What about postgame?
And then postgame, Wild fan line after the Grand Casino postgame show with myself and Pat Nicoletti.
Oh, there will be.
There will be.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
That's actually a sore
withdraw.
subject. They found that out like 12 minutes ago.
Well, they should have been prepared for it.
Yeah.
They should have assumed it.
We did assume it, but we were prepared for it, yes.
All right. That's outstanding.
Hopefully it's not a wine line tonight. That'll be
It's
nice.
always a wine line. It doesn't matter win, lose, or draw.
Yeah,
it's always
there's-
a wine line, but that's sometimes the fun of it.
No question.
Yeah.
Have they taken the C away from Koivu yet? Will that come up tonight? That's
never too
I might
late.
call in on my way home and just
question
suggest that.
never gets old.
Yeah.
It won't matter. It doesn't matter how many decades go by.
No. It was a
It'll always be the
postseason
same.
ritual.
That's true.
It was great.
Very true.
I was doing a story the other day with Chuck Fletcher, and he mentioned Scandella, and I had this recollection of like those times back in the day when I was like campaigning for Scandella to be on the power play, and LaPanta never lets me live that down.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. Have a wonderful game tonight, and we will chat soon. Thanks.
See you,
guys.
gentlemen.
All right. Russo Radio and a little bit of fallness chiming in as well. We'll get caught up. We're guest-free, I think, the rest of the program, right?
We are.
Maybe a little bit more on the Frost breaking news.
Yeah, what a bizarre story.
It's a strange story. Yeah, we'll get to that. And
There's also a San Antonio Spur, Davey, that has popped up on the injury report for Game 5.
Oh, that's a good tease.
Bumper to Bumper with Dan Barrero on the Fan.
Great shows to Mystic Lake Amphitheater. The guests who will be there June 25th, 311 and Dirty Heads on July 11th, and John Mellencamp on July 14th. You can get to complete details on all the upcoming shows on the concert page at KFAN.com. Make the keyword calendar.
Do you know how to pronounce the word ejection in French?
I do not.
Ejectee.
Ejectee.
Ejectee. It was clear to me that the Spurs bench needed Rudy Gobert to act as translator for one of his prized pupils, even though they play for different teams, and that might have been a little bit funky given the frustration with the center, the French center for San Antonio, Davey. But that's because he could have pronounced that and said, because it appeared that Wemby it had to be explained to him that he's out. You're done. It's over. Get to the locker room. Rudy could have walked over, put a hand on his shoulder and said, ejectee. And then he would have understood immediately. He didn't need to have other people. But I'm guessing that's probably a little much to ask Rudy to do under those conditions.
Maybe Rudy's mom, who sits next to our buddy Charlie Swanson, Lexus of Wyzetta, Rudy's mom sits right next to him in those seats.
Yes.
And I was actually sitting next to Rudy's mom when Rudy was ejectee by the Timberwolves when he punched Kyle Anderson.
Oh, yeah, remember that.
So that wasn't like a team.
Yeah, those are the days.
The refs kick you out.
Wait a minute. So Jaden punched a wall.
Yeah, same game.
That's what it was. Yeah, Jaden punched a wall, and your guy,
Rudy punched Kyle Anderson.
It wasn't Jaden punching Kyle.
No. Jaden got into early foul trouble, went back to the tunnel.
And punched a wall.
Poor choice.
And we didn't have him for
the Denver series.
We might have won that series, too. Can I say another thing on behalf of Jaden, who, again, has had some difficulty shooting the last couple games of the series, particularly Game 3. There was a sequence, and if I had a notebook with me, I would have written it down. I want to say it had to have been first half. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was first half because this was towards the Wolves side of where the Wolves bench is, and he ends up, whatever the switching that was going on, whatever the defensive situation was, he ends up helping somebody as you're looking at the basket, to the right. And then he suddenly realizes, wait a minute, I'm done helping here. I got to get back to my guy. and he sprinted all the way to the other end, like far left, and got there in time. If you just watch him, in all seriousness, defensively, in terms of effort expended.
For sure.
Again, he's not the perfect player. He still can sulk sometimes. His shooting can be inconsistent. But in terms of flat-out defensive effort all over the court, including, like I said, okay, here I'm going to try to help. And I won't point like, okay, no, Julius, you're closer. He's sprinting all the way back across the court to get back in front of the shooter on the other end. It's fascinating to watch him instead of watching the ball.
Yes, it is.
He's everywhere in that. And that's where, as much as I've resisted, the people who said can't trade him. It's untradeable. Every time his name comes up, we always say no. And I had weakened on that and said, look, man, something's going to have to give sometimes. He can't be untradeable. I'm now heading back towards the direction that I'd say he's pretty close to untradeable, because that side of it, that part of it, is just so hard to find, especially at that size, even if he never matures or gets any better offensively than he is to this moment.
But he's continuing to get better offensively, too. I know the shooting hasn't been very good, but he hit a couple of shots in the fourth quarter last night, too. Certainly in the second half, where he's at 6'7", his shot is rarely blocked with the matchup that he has. He can body guys down low. He can turn around. He's got a high release. It's a really nice offensive player. Speaking of defensive effort, you mentioned Randall, your guy who broke up the fight or who got in the guy's face a couple of games ago was bitter with Randall. Everybody gets mad at Rudy when the Wolves don't rebound the ball well, when they give up offensive rebounds.
Yes.
And you can see this when you're at the game more. You can probably see it on TV too. But the amount of times Rudy, especially last night at times, is doing what Jaden is doing and covering up for other people.
Yeah.
And then because of that, he's taken out of the rebounding position. Everybody just assumes it's Gobert. Rudy, get a board. It's like, watch him cover up for people.
Yes. Which by definition means he's not always going to be in position to get the rebound.
He's not. And yeah, you'd like to see him get more. I don't know how many he ended up with last night. I assume quite a few. But there's so many times where, and that's why it's a good strategy to try to get him, moving around and getting him away from the basket as much as he can, because, and there's plenty of guys that'll break down defensively for the Wolves, even still, that their defense is at the playoff level now. So it's just, think about that the next time you see a ball go over Rudy's head and he doesn't grab it. He was probably helping like two or three guys.
That goes back to, if all you do is follow the ball, then you're going to miss a lot. And that's where the human eye is. It's natural. That's where you go. But before you destroy any player, really, you might want to try to pay attention to the context, because a lot of times it's what you don't see that led to the vulnerability that ultimately ensues. This is for when we were on, I think when we had Russo Radio on. This is from 651 guy. Can I ask a short question, Dan, or does it need to be a full paragraph? That's uncalled for.
Wow.
But no, your questions can be. We have stayed true to the conversational form that this show has adhered to from the beginning. And so if you're a listener and a texter and you text in paragraphs leading up to the punchline or the question you have, we often, in fact, not only do we quote some of those texts, we laud them. That's okay to have some layer. We're not interested in, Dan Patrick brevity. He's the best. He's outstanding at it, but that's not what we're trying to do. So
him.
Your questions, we got to be ourselves, and your question can absolutely be in a paragraph on a show that's about conversations. We do need a break here. Get caught up. I'll ask you whether you agree with Russo about the bold declaration he made late in our conversation. And that wasn't a paragraph. That was in a single sentence. We'll discuss that next.
You're listening to Barrero on The Fan. It was a fun weekend on The Fan.
And password games and behind-the-scenes content. Just search KFAN on YouTube and hit subscribe today.
Russo on 100,000 watt radio about what was it, maybe 20 minutes ago?
Yeah.
Boldly claimed that if the Minnesota Wild even up the series tonight at 2-2, they will not only even up the series, they will win the series. That's where he went. Now, I can even do the math on this. They win tonight, they still got to win 2 more games.
They do, including one there.
Which means one there. So are you willing to back up or agree with the bold proclamation that tonight, basically what he's saying in effect was the winner of tonight's game will win the series. That's what he says.
That is what he's saying, yeah. I don't know if I can go that far. He's Russo, though. Right now, The Athletic.
Maybe he knows something.
In the future, MichaelRusso.com. He's covered this for a long time. He knows how series ebb and flow. I don't know if I could go that far because I still think Colorado is so good and they have the pedigree of the season.
I want to believe it. I think you want to believe it.
It'd be great, but I'd also add this. It feels like a big if to win tonight. Not like an insurmountable if, but the fact that they had to win the game the other day, right? Mm-hmm. Game 3, you have to do it. You just know you have to do it. Correct. Colorado knows you have to do it. And nothing beats urgency in the playoffs. We see it series after series after series.
Well, we've done the mirror. Let's do it this way. Regardless of the position the two teams are in, because they're one game apart, obviously, which of the two winner teams do you have greater confidence in to finish the job, shock the world without home ice or home court advantage, and advance to the conference finals?
This is where my basketball bona fides are going to... I think it's the Wolves.
Yeah.
I think it's the Wolves. And that just might be emotion.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've thought about it, breaking down the all-22 on both of them. But I don't know. I feel like it's the Wolves, not by much.
It's funny because I think you can parse it out both ways. You could say, I'm not sure in this series the Wolves have had a single win as dominant as the Wild already did in Game 3. But you can also say, every time you're about ready to say it's run its course with the Wolves, especially with the who they're missing and who the opponent is, etc., then they muster something up. And I keep waiting. I mentioned this with Gleeman. The X factor I think that should scare San Antonio a little bit is whether the Wolves have a good shoot, like a streaky, great shooting game.
Right.
Which hasn't happened, and it's random. It may not happen at all in this series, but they are capable of it. Where, let's just say, both Jaden and Julius are well above 5, shoot well over 50%.
And Naz hits a few threes.
Or
Io.
That's the X factor because that hasn't happened. And again, didn't San Antonio, I think they shot close to 50% for the game. Double check the box score when you get a minute. I know for most of the game, they were over 50% from the floor. I think we out-rebounded them. I think we did have that advantage. And it is interesting, because Ant said it was actually harder to know how to run our offense without Wemby on the floor because you're sort of conditioned for how you have to play.
Right.
But I believe the shooting percentages say otherwise. I think when Wemby was in Game 3, I should say Game 4, we were under 40% shooting.
Yeah.
The rest of the game, I think we shot 50%.
So the Wolves finished shooting 45% from the floor. The
which
San
means
Antonio
they
Spurs
did go up over the course of that game when Wemby was not available.
So to go back to the Wild thing, the Spurs, by the way, shot 48% for the game. And what's crazy?
Oh, so they did come down a little bit.
Yeah, they only made 6 threes. It feels like more.
Well, that's what I was trying to figure out. Does that mean we did a good job at the 3-point line, or does that mean they turned around and said, okay, well, because they drove to the basket with impunity and a lot of success through much of that game.
That was what was driving me crazy, was we didn't seem to have an answer for literally just a couple pick and rolls up top and having Rudy drop 50 feet back and having Jaden go over the top, like, to me, 30 feet away from the basket to basically just give Fox whatever he wanted there. The other reason I would lean the Wolves is because, like, let's have this conversation tomorrow. If the Wild tie it up 2-2 tonight, then it does change everything. I don't know if I can go, they're going to win the cup.
Right.
just like that, but it does just change it psychologically because they have the same issues, I think, that the Wolves do. Not that their best player is hurt because Kirill's not hurt, Quinn Hughes isn't hurt, but two really important pieces are still out in Eriksson Ek and Brodin, obviously. Like, those guys play a lot. Those guys are important. In this series, they're certainly important.
Well, here's another factor. 952 guy brings up, the Spurs scare me considerably less than the Avalanche. The Wild have to beat the equivalent of the Thunder to get to the conference finals. Now, that might be a little bit of an exaggeration, but not by much.
Yeah, I think that's a clean way to look at it.
It is, because they are obviously a more established team. The Spurs, we all know, they're going to terrorize forever in the West. Another reason we want to get over to the Eastern Conference.
Anytime.
But that probably enters into this as well. And I think in the case of the Wolves, for me, it's become a little bit of, as exasperating as they are, this notion. You know, they won me over a long way with the Game 6 against Denver. And again, maybe Denver isn't as good as we thought. They may look back on this whole situation and say, "God, this is a failure." But the fact is, nobody gave the Wolves a chance to win that. Nobody, in all seriousness, gave them a chance to win that game. Everybody was out, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Io included.
And they won that game by 12.
Right.
By the end of the game. And at that moment, for me, you're back to, we know they're exasperating, but they got a gear in them mentally that means I'm not going to boldly flat out guarantee anything, but I can't rule them out or count them out at all, even in a series that's going back to San Antonio and with Wemby allegedly, possessed.
Anthony, he did make the point that you just alluded to. And I tried to explain this to my 11-year-old who was going through it when the Wolves were down 8 last night after Fox hit that 1-3. That when Wemby went out, Cornette is obviously not Wemby, but he knows his role.
Absolutely, he's not a bad player at all.
He's obviously not.
He's a great backup center.
Yeah.
We would die to have a backup center as good as he is.
And so the rim protection is still going to be okay.
Yeah,
it's not going to be.
No.
And I kind of don't love, since game 1 when the Wolves took everything at Wemby and he had 52 blocks, they haven't done that the same way.
No.
They've almost resigned. They've almost, I think, ceded too much. Mm-hmm. Game 1, we talked about it the day after. Out of the 12 blocks, they got 5 of them back and scored. This time, the last 3 games, I feel like they have ceded too much to him. They haven't made him block shots. They've adjusted how they're shooting it. They're doing all these things. Game 1, he blocked 12 shots and you won. So I don't love how they're doing that. But when Cornette came in, I was telling people that I was with and that I was texting them, it's the Spurs still have a lot of dudes. And now they're free rolling now because they know there's no pressure on them anymore. The Wolves have all the pressure now.
And they ran a clinic offensively in the third quarter while we were doing nothing in an integrated way in the third quarter offensively.
And so that's why I never relaxed at all, because they've still got a lot of really nice pieces, and they made good adjustments to say, we don't have our guy, we're going to do something totally different. Yeah. And they did for an extended period of time.
All right, top of the hour pause. We'll get to some texts and who knows what else in our final half hour. Don't forget, Wild take over at the bottom of the hour. Indeed, it is game number 4. Opening faceoff scheduled for just past 7 o'clock.
You're listening to Barrero on The Fan.
From the 1-800-ASK-GARY Traffic Center.
This report is sponsored by...
Not be suspended for Game 5. Chances to win tickets, knowing what's going on with all your favorite KFAN shows. Follow KFAN 1003 on all our social channels, Instagram, TikTok, and X. Stay connected. Follow the sports leader, KFAN.
We're being called out, or I'm being called out, for not paying off a tease regarding the Minnesota Frost. My apologies if I didn't, although we have discussed this story at various points throughout this evening's show. The Frost were slated to play in Montreal in game number 5, obviously best of 5 series. So this was to advance to I think it would be the championship round. And the game has been postponed, allegedly because a large number of Montreal players are ill. And I guess we'll have to look into history about how often in a professional league that decision is made. I mean, because you could, I guess, make the argument as unlucky as it is, you'd say, well, if you don't have enough players to play tonight, or your main players can't play, sorry, you either cobble together the bench players or you forfeit. I mean, it's an unsatisfying way to determine this thing.
Yeah.
But I guess it sounds like what's being used as an excuse for postponing is the possibility that this illness is so transmittable that you would be potentially spreading it to the opposing team, the members of the Frost. Is that what's being suggested here?
Really, we're getting so little information about it that it's all just speculation, I think.
It'd be nice to have a little more information, too. I don't know. And I don't know how forthcoming league officials are being on this thing. Maybe we need to get Stan Kasten on the line. Isn't he our...
he's the guy.
He's the guy.
I think he still is. Before. Billie Jean King.
Yeah.
Text her.
That's it. I don't know.
See what's going on.
So pretty extraordinary circumstances. Does that mean they play tomorrow night? Does that mean they wait a week? What do they do? Again, it's unfortunate.
Yeah.
And I guess we'll eventually, I hope this story will be fleshed out more. We'll get a little more detail on why this step. Was it literally you have nobody who can play? You don't have enough players? Or do you just have it's your main players who are out? And then I say, well, that might be too bad. Now, if there's like a board of health situation here that makes it a little bit more complicated than that, well, certainly that has to be put under consideration. I just don't think there's much precedent for this other than, as we said, in a COVID period.
Exactly.
Where everything's shut down.
Yes.
Right?
And we all understood why.
Correct.
A rescheduled date for the game will be announced as soon as medical guidance determines it is appropriate to resume play. An update will be provided to fans within the next day. So that leads me to believe that it's not going to be tomorrow.
Probably not.
I'm not sure. But the league has also already apparently determined that the next series, because I think Ottawa's already won, Game 3 in the next series will be Monday in Ottawa.
Okay.
A week from today, which means that in the next week, you'd have to play this game, Game 5, and then Game 1 and 2 of the next series before you play Game 3 in Ottawa. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
They've already announced it that...
Well, I guess they could change that maybe.
I guess.
Potentially, yeah. They have to. Interesting. Well, we'll have to see. We talked about this with Johnny. You and I haven't talked about it separately, though. I don't know... I'm not sure this question came up in the post-game scrum with Finchie. The decision to hold on to that last timeout after 2 San Antonio Davy free throws cuts the Wolves' lead to 3 is inexcusable. It's indefensible as far as I'm concerned. And believe me, I get the whole thing on timeouts. You know, there's still 20, I think there was 20 plus seconds left after the 2 free throws. I want to hold on to it just in case. To inbound the ball under the basket, that if they don't even have to work the whole length of the court if they make a steal, which they almost did. And the Wolves had so much trouble. And even if you'd make the decision to not call the timeout off the break, you have to call it earlier than they did, as Io was struggling, stuck in the backcourt to such a degree that then when the Wolves did take the timeout, they were forced to do what? Throw the ball. They couldn't even throw the ball in the backcourt because it would have been a 8-second violation.
Yep.
They had to throw what turned out to be a really good, over-the-top, KOC-loved touchdown pass.
It's a great pass.
From Jaden, the 6'10 Jaden, to Dosunmu, right? And fortunately, then, he got control of the ball after having some trouble, and they didn't call a jump ball, which I think they could have. They called a foul. He hits the 2 free throws, and it's back to a 2-possession game. That's a bad one, man. And I think that's been a vulnerability for Finchie. For whatever he had, remember the inbounds, and was this backcourt or front court? I think it was also backcourt on the side when Anthony Edwards. This was in the game we won, wasn't it?
Yes, this was game 1. Yep.
Yeah. It's a terrible play where I'm going, Go to the front. At least if the ball gets intercepted in the front court, they got to go the length of the court. And usually you have the whole court to use in inbounding the ball. So it's so automatic to go to the front court, to go to your front court. It was stunning to me that he became so stubborn about, I'm down to my last one. If I had two, it would have been easy. That's the game. That's the game. You have to me, that's an egregious decision.
Part of the reason they were down to one is because they had to call another timeout with Ant being doubled at midcourt.
That's exactly right.
Which I'm still not sure why that's so complicated for us. They've made no secret.
He was about to go back, into the other side of the court, and so as he's falling, he's calling timeout.
And he's in the middle of the floor, which should actually mean it's easier for someone to go to him and actually just help him out.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I was screaming for it. I talked to Parker Fox about it on our postgame show last night because the Gophers always had trouble with this too. Pacino, Ben Johnson, it's always amazing to me that teams have trouble handling pressure late in games because as Parker, we were joking about it.
It's been a tendency.
I said, Parker, every single basketball team from fourth grade on is working on press break and where to cut and where to go and what to do with the ball and pass fake. And he put DeSumo in there to get another. So they couldn't foul Rudy and another ball handler. And DeSumo then throws a lazy pass, the possession before that gets intercepted.
It's true.
And then he's having all kinds of trouble. It is crazy to me that teams have such problems with it.
Why not in that situation? Let's put 3 ball handlers on it. Let's put Conley back out there as well. I actually wanted to see a little bit more of Conley in the second half. I know he was getting hurt defensively because they got bigger guards. But given their difficulty at times just with setting up and ball handling, I would have liked to seen, in this case, a little bit more of him. Put as many ball handlers as possible out there.
Conley agrees with you. He said that post-game.
Did he?
He said he was sitting there talking to Kyle Anderson going, God, I wish I could be out there.
Yeah.
The other part about it with Finchie is you got to, your team. 19,000 people in there were thinking, they're not going to do this right. They're going to be lazy with it. They're not going to cut. Nas went to turn instead of screen when he was wide open to just turn and get the ball on one of them. And even Ant was trying to point, no one's on you. Don't screen for me. Go get the ball. And I don't know if I love Nas having it in the corner there, but at least he's a bigger guy that might be able to throw over somebody.
Looked helpless.
He was.
And he was right under the basket.
I know, he was.
It's like you're one ball strip away from... They got 2 more points, and it's a 1-point game.
Yeah, you just have to know your team is going to make a mess of it and help them. That's what the coach is there for, is to help your team.
That's what it's supposed to be.
Now, you could, at the end of the day, you could say, guys, come on, just break the press. Just be tight with the ball, cut hard, do a pass fake, get it around somebody, because DeSumo just tried to float that one that ended up getting taken away. Yeah, it was quite the situation, and thankfully, Io used his good calf and not his bad calf to keep that ball in bounds on what was a beautiful throw from Jaden McDaniels.
Is this a case of, on the Frost Montreal game, is this a case of home cooking? The Canadian government trying to protect their team and their chance to dethrone us?
It is the nation's sport.
Are we getting jobbed by the officials?
I rule nothing out.
I'm just saying. I'm asking. I don't know. I'm asking. I'm making no declaration. What kind of virus is this that somebody texted me that they're actually trying to protect fans? What kind of virus are we talking about here? From a stomach virus?
But also,
how does that even compute? Or is it something more significant
they can't be
than that?
Protecting fans. That
seems preposterous on its face, doesn't it?
My assumption would be they just don't have enough players to play.
Yeah.
Which is also, though, why is that? That's bad luck. But it seems extreme that you just punt on the whole situation and say we're gonna play when we can play.
Let's take one last break. We'll refresh your memory on what you might have missed earlier today. 3 outstanding guests, and we'll prepare you for Wild Hockey tonight and what we have coming up tomorrow as well.
Since 1975.
It's the Bumper to Bumper Show Wrap.
What a program today. We had Aaron Gleeman in studio in the 4 o'clock hour to discuss not only the Minnesota Twins, but his big announcement. He's going solo. AaronGleeman.com. And he's looking for subscribers. We apparently sold him a lot of subscriptions today, or helped. But he's off to a very good start there. And he kind of gave us some sense of his reasoning for why he decided to leave The Athletic and to make this decision. He definitely tried hard to get in Johnny Athletic's will. when we wrapped up with Johnny at 3:30. In addition, Russo Radio joined at 5:02. Tomorrow is a Louis Day, obviously. So we will review Game 4 of the second-round series between the Wild and the Colorado Avalanche with him. And I'm sure some other things might pop up as well. So Wolves Game 5 is Tuesday, Game 6 is Friday night, correct?
Correct.
Is it possible the time Friday night will indicate a possibility for our first Cage show in a long time?
I would think that it's a 7 o'clock tomorrow. I would assume probably yes, but I don't know. I don't know if it's been set.
It has not been. It had not been set as of early today. My assumption is it has to do with some of his other series might end tonight. Like Oklahoma City can sweep the Lakers tonight, correct?
They can.
And I think, is it Cleveland-Detroit Game 4 tonight as well, I believe?
Tonight is Cleveland-Detroit Game 4.
Yeah, so the Cleveland has a chance to tie that series up. James Harden finally showed up in game number 3.
Did we mention, by the way, that De'Aaron Fox popped up on the injury report? I think we teased it. We didn't bring it up.
We didn't pay it off. You're right.
Left ankle soreness.
Is that where Dosunmu cheap shotted him?
I think so.
Are we becoming a bunch? Are we going to become a kind of a cheap shot artist team?
I think we're America's team. I think everybody loves us.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who are rooting for the club.
Right now.
There's no question about that. I felt like did I tease something for the last segment too?
I don't think so.
Thought I might have. And no Eriksson Ek tonight. I think that's been well established.
Correct.
Brodin ain't coming back at all. Eriksson Ek, maybe eventually late this series or the next series. I saved this one from the 3 o'clock hour. You're getting called out.
Really?
I'll give you 2 minutes to respond. What happened to Gaardsy, the champion of ethical basketball? What's the difference between a guy flopping on offense and a team pushing the limits of fouling without getting called for it on defense like the Wolves are doing with Wemby? Isn't that gamesmanship? Isn't that part of what good teams, wise teams do to, quote-unquote, manipulate the rules or bend the rules?
I hadn't really thought of that, but no, I don't think it's the same.
Oh, all right.
Because they're not trying to fool anybody.
Yeah, a little bit. You're trying to fool. You're trying to push the envelope and say, "Oh, what? I didn't foul. I didn't do anything." As you're hammering the big man. And,
I don't know.
No,
I don't think that's the same at all.
All right.
By the way, did you see Castle, first possession of the game, he threw his head back like 3 times.
They did? Oh, yeah, I did see that.
It's like, come on, we're going to start this right now?
Well, that's gamesmanship.
I know, I don't like it.
You don't like it. But I don't think it's as different as you do. But see, because I don't dismiss either as much as you do. I think it is. Now, there's limits, I get it, and there's some teams who exploit more than others. I think that's undeniable. That gets back to, I think, again, whether you blame a team, a team that does that, or you blame the league for not sending the right directives and messages to your officials in how to officiate that. That's another issue probably for
I also think reffing playoff basketball and playoff hockey.
Yes.
I think it's one of probably the hardest things to do because you do allow more physicality for sure, right?
Yeah, right.
And then you let so much stuff go. And then you call some stuff but because you kind of gray the lines and how much physicality you're going to allow and how different it is from the regular season, I do think you find yourself in tricky situations sometimes because of it. Because it's got to be a really hard game to officiate.
No question.
When you just let guys beat. I mean, Nas and Jaden fouled Wemby 50 times before he threw the elbow. Not excusing it.
No, but but they weren't vicious fouls, but they were fouls.
Yeah, they were fouls. Yeah. There's no question about that. But